Welcome, gamers, to OMG One More Game Podcast, Episode 9. Today is 14 April 2022. I am your host, theStroke, and I'm here with my good buddy, Swiftmida. Swift, how is it going?
Dude, it's going good. Been a little busy this week, and honestly, um, I feel kind of like an NFL player right now, and
Oh,
not
yeah?
for the reasons you might think, but doing the podcast on Sunday, quick turn. Now we're here Thursday.
Yeah.
That Sunday to Thursday turn's rough on the body. It's rough on the mind. So
Yeah. A lot of
we're gonna
travel.
work through it.
A lot of
Yeah,
travel, battling through injuries.
that's
Yeah.
right.
You know how it goes.
Same, but different.
Nice. Well, it's good to see you've recovered from last week's episode and survived another week of work. And for you One More Game loyalists out there, thank you for joining us on short notice in the chat. Happy to have you here. And just if you're wondering why we're here early than our normal night at Sunday, it's because we're both going to be busy this week, and we decided, the people needed to see our faces, not just hear us, and so we just decided to wing it. Swift messaged me about an hour ago. I said, "Let's record tonight," and I was like, "All right, let's do it." So here we are.
Do it live. So something in the most people probably don't know in the fighter pilot community, something that's typically not kosher for the weapons officers, but the rest of us like to brief is, guys, yep, it's going to be a little bit different out there. Keep your knees up, be athletic, and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, the number one thing you can do as a fighter pilot is just be athletic and not worry too much about the plan that you made is always going to go upside down as soon as you get up there. So you might as well just wing it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's probably where the term winging it came from. But all right.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, dude. So what do you got going on this weekend that we can't hang out on Sunday night?
Dude, so Saturday I have you and I's buddy Polo's going away. He's going to graduate from WIC, which is weapons school.
Yeah, I just had him over for dinner 2 days ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so we're going to go up to Lake Pleasant and go out on the boat and hang out for the day on Saturday, as basically is going away because he's moving to the far north, Eielson, Alaska.
The North Pole.
Yeah. Sunday we drive up to Vegas, but the biggest thing is tomorrow. So I know I told you initially maybe film tomorrow, but we have a squadron roll call going on, which I'm looking forward to. We actually have the 2B courses this time, because we have the B course that's almost out the door and the new one that's in academics basically. And haven't hit the flight line, not flying yet, but they're gonna stop by the roll call hopefully and give us some entertainment and history and all the things.
Cool. So if you don't know what's going on there, so Swift teaches some hopeful F-16 pilots how to fly that bad boy, and so he's got a bunch of new guys, lieutenants, who are looking to relax a little bit socially, but they're also in charge of making all the crusty old veteran fighter pilots laugh and bring them drinks and all that kind of fun stuff. So a little bit of a fun little tradition you got going there. But do you want to expand on that a little bit? What is a roll call?
Yeah, so the roll call, as we see it in fighter pilot history, is basically when, so back in the day when war was real, I guess. And obviously it's real right now for Ukraine and Russia, and I'm not trying to diminish that. But
Right.
For us, when we were in the Korean War and World War II, when we had planes going up every day, multiple times a day. So for anybody that doesn't know, the roll call is what happens after the day is done, basically, right? So everybody goes and flies their missions, and then at night they all come back to the bar, which we still honor that tradition in the fighter pilot community. We still have bars in all of our squadrons, which is great. Which is where we're doing the roll call. they would no kidding call the roll, right? So every pilot that stepped that day to a jet to go fly, when the day was done, they would call the roll. And if dudes were missing because they got shot down and were POWs, obviously that's a significant emotional event for the rest of the guys in the squadron or wing or whatever it happens to be. So there are multiple traditions that we've basically come up with based on that. But bottom line, these days, because we're not in an actual shooting war, right? The roll call is for fun. We drink, we tell stories, we make fun of each other, but it comes from a very historical past as far as no kidding calling the roll and making sure that everybody made it back on that day.
Cool. Yeah. So one of the coolest traditions in our community, and if you ever do get the privilege of going to check one of those out, don't talk about it or we'll have to kill you. But just look at it as a privilege and a really cool thing to witness. Founded in tradition and just kind of done to keep morale up and just maintain some of that fighting spirit. So cool, dude.
Yeah,
so,
and then do you know the history of? Sorry, before we move on, do you know the history of the piano burn? Because I know it kind of, but because we're having one on graduation day in May for this most recent B course. So, like, can you expand on that at all?
Slightly. I don't remember any of the names, and I'm always a little bit under the influence when I hear the story. But apparently, I believe it was a British pilot. He used to actually play a piano in the bar back in World War II, and one day he got shot down, didn't come back, right? And so, in honor of him, they burned the piano at a roll call to kind of celebrate his life and what he used to do for them. And so now whenever we lose a fighter pilot, we have what's called a piano burn for that person, where where lieutenants will procure a piano of some kind in some fashion. And
typically it's from an old lady who's looking to sell her piano, and we feel bad about it. But you got to burn one.
It's for a good cause. We just don't tell you what it's for. But anyways, so that's kind of where that comes from. Cool. Well, some good history there, and that kind of stuff I'm definitely gonna miss when I'm done doing this. But have fun. And we were gonna try to record this after Swift got back from that, but that can tend to be a heavy drinking incident. So
yeah, that would have been horrible. I would have been asleep on my keyboard probably.
If you don't know, if you haven't hung out with Swift socially, he's a very sleepy drunk. So he gets about three or four beers in him, and he falls asleep in his computer chair. So watch out.
Yeah. I when I get drunk, I go home mode. Right? I have to find the nearest bed. Hopefully, it's mine. But I gotta go to bed.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's get into gaming. So before we get into the news, I got to tell you, I downloaded Fortnite because I was already downloading the Unreal Engine 5, and it was one click away. So just for your...
Oh, yeah.
That's how much I love you, dude. But I still haven't clicked that play button. So you're going to have to...
Are you serious?
You're going to
you, me, Pickle Matt, and somebody else are going to have to get in there and play quads.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
All right. I guess I'm there. I've done half the work, so I might as well just give it a go.
You might as well try it out,
All right, dude, let's get into your gaming news for the week. All right, so Swift has come up with most of these notes for this week, so I'm going to kind of read them, and then we're going to talk about them, and then we're going to move on. So, item number 1 on the docket, Cyberpunk, everyone's favorite fully fleshed out, perfectly made game from CD Projekt Red that we've talked about so many times on the show. is coming out with an expansion in 2023. So if you've had your fill of that game, like Swift over here, well, guess what? You got more content coming to you sometime next year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's right. Dude, I don't know. I hope they maybe turn it around based on like with the expansion.
Yeah.
I think that based on everybody's kind of impression with the first release, I don't know that they're really gonna get what they want out of it, but maybe, dude, maybe it's really awesome and
Yeah.
it brings people flocking back, you know? So we have basically a year to figure it out. We'll see when it comes out in 2023. There was no official date from what I saw, but we'll see. I feel like it's kind of a grasp at something
The last
to
little
try
bit
to,
of.
yeah, like maybe we can bring people back, but who knows? You know, maybe they'll turn it around.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but when The Witcher came out, dude, it had some issues of its own, like nothing, nowhere near The Witcher 3. I mean, nowhere near what happened to Cyberpunk. Um, but they ended up fixing it over time, right? And those
Yeah,
expansions that came out for that game were incredible. So who knows? Maybe they turn it around. But
yeah,
I think I've kind of that train has left the station for me, and it would take quite a bit of good reviews for me to jump back into that thing. So whatever.
yeah. I agree. Did you actually buy it?
I did, and then returned it before I started playing it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, mine's still in my Steam library. I just can't log into it for whatever
yeah,
reason.
that's
So,
strange. See, I was kind of looking forward to you getting back in there to see what you thought, but
yeah. I'm gonna
uh,
keep trying.
sometimes PC gaming can be a little fickle, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
All right, man. Next bit of news on the docket. We've got a bunch of news coming out of AMD about their new GPUs and CPUs with a lot of promises towards gamers specifically. What you got any more details on this headline?
So I read a few articles. So the AMD basically says the DDR5 on Ryzen, and dude, you can expound on this. It says we'll reach speeds you maybe thought couldn't be possible. So their bottom line, they're talking about overclocking,
Right.
right? And I've never done that, so I don't know what that means. But I think based on what I've heard, is it has to do with making your GPU faster, so you can get better graphics or better frames. Again, I've never overclocked anything. I'm still fairly new to this PC. So what do you have for that?
Yeah. So basically, if I can put it in very simple terms, every piece of technology runs on a certain clock speed based on how much power and heat it can handle. So when I buy a microchip, like from my CPU, for example, they can only promise and rate it for a certain gigahertz, so a speed that it can run at without them failing, right? So let's say 3.8 gigahertz, I buy a chip that's advertised as a 3.8 gigahertz chip. So overclocking, what the thing about overclocking is it comes in a wide range of, so even if you and I bought the same microchip, you may be able to overclock yours a little bit higher or lower than mine just based on that specific one, how it was made, the little tiny materials, the metals. And so when you overclock something, you have to basically test how high it can go. Um, and so that's why overclocking is so crazy, because basically you have to test it and figure out what that speed, maximum speed that your specific piece of hardware can handle. And so DDR5 is going to allow their new GPUs to essentially be faster. And what that means at the end of the day is more higher frame rate, better ray tracing, things like that. Um,
Okay.
So if you've never overclocked anything, it's a lot easier than it was back in the day. You can just buy overclock, or you can just download overclocking software, and it will safely test most of your components, your GPU and your CPU, without putting them in major danger of failure. But we can get into that more if you guys want to hear more about the specifics of that in a later episode, or perhaps a YouTube video. But
Yeah.
either way, dude, it's cool to see all this. Like you and I talked about Unreal 5 last week, right? And we're gonna need to see these type of leaps with the graphics processors to be able to take advantage of all that. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's cool, I guess. I haven't ever taken advantage of it. I also saw an article that um, I've read a lot of articles about AMD recently and not Nvidia, and I don't know if maybe the AMD is trying to make a surge for, control of the market, but the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D apparently it doesn't support overclocking, but it prioritizes gaming above everything else. So I don't know what the price differential. I didn't do research as far as what the price differential is between the two. But their bottom line, there's a lot of options out there as far as GPUs, CPUs for people trying to build computers. So it's exciting. AMD is promising a lot. We'll see if they can deliver. I mean, they sound confident, so
Yeah, so
should be good.
typically the cycle works like this, where as we get kind of later on in the GPU generation, AMD will come out with their news about their new Bad Johnny before Nvidia does, and then a couple months later, Nvidia releases something that makes whatever AMD said look pretty mediocre. So that's
Okay,
happened. That's happened like 3 times in a row. So we'll see if it happens this time. But
got it. So you're saying I should wait on buying my 3080 Ti and just wait for the next generation?
yeah, I would. You'll
Yeah.
you'll
Okay.
be fine for a little while.
Yeah. Got it.
Cool, dude. All right. Next up on the order of business, not necessarily about games, but we just thought we'd talk about this because it's insane that someone has this much money. But Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter for $43.4 billion. Just a little chunk of change to be able to say what he wants on Twitter. Uh, all right. So
Yeah.
if you had this much money, how many things would you do before buying Twitter?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how much money he has, but if he has $43.4 billion to just spend on Twitter, he's obviously like very rich, right? And we all know that from social media and all the things. I just think I put this on the news because I was astounded because like based on what I've been seeing on no kidding Twitter, right? So I feel like for maybe the older generation that doesn't have Twitter or whatever, you're not on TikTok, whatever, whatever it happens to be. Twitter is, I feel like, a very not necessarily worthy source of news, right? Because
Yeah.
people can tweet whatever they want. But I find a lot of information on Twitter,
Yeah.
whether it be political, whether it be gaming, whatever it happens to be. So I think based on Elon's text, because I follow him as well, I think it's very interesting that because in my mind, what I think he's trying to do is kind of not make it a certain way, but open it up, right? So people don't get canceled.
Yeah.
Because we're in a very serious cancel culture based on what you tweet or stream or whatever. And some people deserve to be canceled. But I think Elon Musk is trying to make Twitter an open forum as opposed to what we've seen from Facebook and Instagram and even Twitter sometimes, where you're banned for something that you said because certain people run it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to go against that.
Yeah. He's had a few like altercations with Twitter from his tweets alone, but dude, overall, I mean, I people say pretty much whatever they want on Twitter. I don't see that getting
Yep.
prevented, at least. But yeah, I mean, this company is holding some people accountable for stuff that's causing undue craziness. But for that much money, dude, I feel like you could just start up your own thing that
No.
becomes the new thing. Like,
Right. Hey, especially with a name like Elon Musk, right? You could literally
Yeah,
hire
you could
people
call
for
it,
$100,000.
you could call it Musker, and people would switch immediately.
Yeah, like it's crazy, and it just shows it. It goes to show that he just has basically an insurmountable amount of money.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on from old Elon. All right,
Yeah.
so a little bit of news about the Steam Deck. So it's getting a lot of updates and games kind of optimized to work on it. So about half of all of Steam's top 100 games now work on Steam Deck. So we'll talk about a couple of the examples. So Elden Ring, Apex, and Valheim all are called Stream Decks verified. So they will run easy, no problem, right through the Steam app. No issues there. A couple of other ones that are Steam Deck playable: CS:GO, Dota 2, and Skyrim. I thought this was funny because CS:GO and Dota are Valve properties, but they're not like Steam Deck verified. So it's like, you didn't even get your own games working on this thing perfectly. What's going on here?
Dude, so what I read in the article was that most of the Steam Deck playables, they have them tiered, basically verified, playable, right?
Right.
So what I read in the article was verified are like, kind of new hotness, right? Elden Ring. Tons of people are playing Apex, right? So of course they're going to verify those two games. I've never played Valheim, and then like the other games that are playable in quotations are, it's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They're just not. They haven't been verified yet, but it's seamless to play the games.
Oh, okay. So it works fine, but
it works 100% fine, right? For all the playable games, I think they're just like doing their due diligence to make sure everything is working good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I do have an update on mine. So all it says is Q2 and then estimated April to May. So,
dude, it's April. You're gonna get it tomorrow.
We're here. It's on. Gabe Newell's gonna drop it on my doorstep, and
yeah, that's right.
High five me and be like, "All right, good luck."
All right, good luck out there, soldier.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm so excited to get my hands on one of those, even if it's wonky and like you really got to spend some extra work, like making the games work. I think it'd be a cool thing to at least talk about and review.
No, yeah, I think it's gonna be very cool.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last week, as far as mobile gaming, like that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that you can play, like when you're at work, not doing work, and you can play Elden Ring.
Yeah, like if you can play
below your desk,
a AAA main studio game like that in your hand, like that's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And like not Nintendo Switch style, like you'll be able to use Discord on it and just hook up a Bluetooth headset and just talk.
Yeah, it's so cool. Don't do that in the office, though, dude.
No. All right. Well, that's all the news we got. You got any other things that popped up on your scope while we were gathering info right before this?
Actually, I do. So I saw on Twitter that again, Twitter, very good news source, right? In quotations. But I saw on Twitter that apparently COD, so Call of Duty, plans to make, and again, I haven't played in a little while, so I don't know what season they're on. But apparently the next season, they're planning on bringing Godzilla and King Kong into the mix on Caldera. on like the big battle royale map. So I don't really know how they would do that. I don't know if people are trolling.
Dude, if it was just like
but
they're in the middle of just a beast battle, right? And you just sometimes get stepped on as you're trying to kill someone, and
yeah, like it just shrinks to them, and then you get stepped on and you're dead. I don't
yeah.
like. I don't know. I don't know if it's seriously. I don't know if it's a joke. It's not April 1st, so I took it for what it was. But
They're probably like, how do we get people back in this game? And one guy in the corner, he's an intern. He's like,
yeah, the intern in the back was like, "What about Godzilla?"
You're hired.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that might be enough to get me back in there, at least just for curiosity's sake.
I would, I would log back in just to see what was happening.
Yeah,
if it's true.
If they don't have Dwayne the Rock Johnson as a playable character, though, I'm out. All right, dude. Let's get into the games radar for the week. All right, team. Like I said, April's just going to continue to be slow. So not a whole lot. So what we'll do is we'll change this up and just bring it to you by platform from now on. So coming out this week, Star Wars Force Unleashed on the Switch, April 20th. So this is a pretty old game, but it was a fun game, and now it's going to be playable on Switch. Did you ever play this?
I never played it. Earlier I watched the YouTube video of it, and I was like, this is coming out on the Switch because the graphics are horrendous.
Yeah, it's old, dude.
They're not even releasing Unleashed 2, which I played when we were deployed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I'm still of the opinion that if you want a good Star Wars game, the best one to play is the Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, a lot of them are just too old to matter anymore. But all right, what about you got anything coming out for Xbox?
Dude, based on, again, we're doing it live here, right? we did some research today, and that's what we did. So on Xbox and PS5 today, it released. It's called Road 96. Okay, have you ever played this game or heard of it?
No.
Okay, so Road 96, it's very weird from my perspective, but it's literally an animated world, right? Animated characters. Obviously, everything is animated these days, but it's very clearly like not supposed to look real, right?
Yeah,
so that's what I mean by animated. So Road 96, if you're interested in just taking a cross-country trip across this country called Petria and making it to the border to Safe Haven. I don't know what you're escaping from. I have no idea. I just watched some trailers for it. But along the way, you basically have to hitchhike and meet random characters. And based on your decisions through the trip, it can turn out very differently, right? You might die. It's kind of like Oregon Trail, I guess. If I were gonna, I think they just posted an Oregon Trail type thing on the trailer, but kind of like Oregon Trail, where you kind of get to make decisions whether you're gonna get in the car with the creepy old man or you're gonna try to buy some stuff from the store. But seems really interesting to me. Not interesting as in I want to play it, but just like I'm interested to see who the people that play this are.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching the trailer here, and if you're thinking about if you're looking for a game that's unlike something you've done before, this definitely looks like something definitely uncharted.
Yeah, I mean it's just very different. You get to, based on what I saw, you get to go to. Okay, so yeah, grab your bag. Yep, and then you get in the car and with who knows. So it just seems really interesting. And then, so what I saw is based on every time. So the trip total for your character takes about an hour of playtime. So it's not a long time,
so it's a
right?
quick game.
So really quick as far as the time committed. And then each time you play through, so the point is to play through multiple times, and each time you play through, it's a different character starting in a different area in Petria. And I don't know. I think I saw something about you have to get a certain amount of people across the border prior to the election of the president of Petria for some odd reason. Dude, again, I haven't done a ton of research into it, but it seems it's very different. You know, it could be like a very I wouldn't say calming game, but something that you're not really like when you don't really know what to play, just like put an hour into Road 96 and then who knows? Who knows what will happen based on your decisions?
Yeah, these are the kind of games that do tend to get me for a little bit because I really think that kind of stuff is creative and fun to like. It's almost like a visual story, right? A visual book.
And based on the trailer, I think it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Like it's like a choose your own adventure. You know, when we were kids, you had the choose your own adventure books where it's like if you choose this, turn to page 96 or 97, right? Like it feels like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of game that I could easily see myself jumping on, and especially if it's on Game Pass, but I don't know if it is.
Well, dude, good news. It's available today.
I gotta go.
I gotta go.
Just kidding. All right, also available today, Tormented Souls, as well, animated, kind of that similar look. And yeah, what do you got on this?
Again, I
is
didn't do a ton
is
of
this
research.
a horror movie? This is like Saw? No.
It seems like Saw to me.
No,
so
thanks.
what I saw from the trailer, animated, it seems like based on the trailer, you find a young girl in a jail cell, and that's just creepy alone, right?
Yep.
If I started the game and I found a young girl alone in a jail cell in the dark, I would have questions and I probably wouldn't play again. But apparently it's like zombie based or monster based, right? So you have to work your way out of this mansion, it seems like. But again, very much Saw vibe. There's puzzles in it where you have to, like one that I saw, you had to place pieces of a doll together, her face, and it's just so weird to me, and I don't like it.
Yeah, just watching the trailer here, just you're in a looks like a mental asylum, and
Yeah,
it's creepy, and that's gonna be a no for me.
yeah, that's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
Like literally, look at that.
Oh yeah, if you're into this kind of stuff though, this might be a good one for you because it
Oh
looks creepy.
gosh, so
All
brutal.
right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, and going over to PlayStation, basically the only thing is the same thing, dude. Road 96, and then for PC, we got nothing for you. I hate to tell you, not a lot for you to look forward to this week. But you know what that means? You've got a lot more time to catch up on your old other games that you need to beat.
Yeah, and there are also, based on what I looked at today, there's some good ones coming out. Maybe we'll talk about next week as far as end of April. May has some good ones, and so on. So it'll be fine.
Light at the end of the tunnel. Get through May.
That's right.
Beat Elden Ring.
Beat all of the games right now, and then be ready to buy new ones.
Or by beat Elden Ring, I mean beat the first boss in Elden Ring, and then
yeah.
All right, dude. Sounds good. Anything else coming up on the radar for you in life?
Well, actually, I'll talk about it because we're not doing the podcast until next Sunday. My beautiful wife and I have our first anniversary next week. I know that's not really cool for you and Jen, but it's exciting for us, and we're going to be in Vegas. Shannon's driving up for it, or for our sea trip.
Oh, what are you going to do?
So we're going to go to a Cirque du Soleil show on Friday. And then I haven't told her yet, but I've told her I made dinner reservations, but we're actually going to Gordon Ramsay's steak because, again, I think I've announced it in the podcast prior, but Gordon Ramsay is my cooking idol, so I want to go get some Gordon Ramsay steak.
Yeah, I've eaten there. It's really good.
I can't wait.
Bring your big boy wallet, and
I know.
Hopefully she doesn't watch the podcast, or else she now knows where you guys are going. But.
Yeah, she won't. I'll tell her not to.
Thanks. She's our number one fan.
She actually, like, no kidding, she drove to California today and she listened to our episode 2 weeks ago about like addiction.
Yeah.
So she finished that one. So she's an episode behind, but I'll make sure she doesn't listen to the this one before we get to old Gordon Ramsay's steakhouse.
There you go. Awesome. Well, if you are also enjoying OMG podcast like Shannon is, go ahead and leave us a review on your podcast website, and that really helps us kind of with discoverability type stuff. And then send us an email at omgpodcastgg@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the show, or let us know what you want us to talk about next episode, and we will definitely give you a shout out and get to your topic as soon as we can. All right, dude, with that being said, we will get into the major topic for the week. All right, so there you are, the gamer of the century, God's gift to the sticks, and you're ready to graduate from that little potato that you got on your entertainment stand, and you're ready to move to the pros, to a computer where the real gamers live, to the PC Master Race. So how are you going to do that? Like, what do? You just feel lost? Like, you see us talking about all these cool games on computer, but you don't know what to do. Well, that's where One More Game podcast is here to help you this week. In our quick decision to decide what we're going to talk about, we're both staring at our computers and we said, what if we talk about PC gaming and how to get into it and how all that works? So that's what we're going to talk to you guys.
I think it just works because we talked about the console, race last week, and now, how we think maybe PC's taking over. So I feel like this is going to work out fine.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Cool. All right. So let's get into the, whenever you're making a decision like this, you want to go over pros and cons, right? Like that's what smart people do instead of just blowing, because, this can be an expensive thing if you let it be. So let's talk about pros to start off, dude. So you're fairly, 2 years into this now. So I feel like this is fresh in your mind and you can kind of talk about the pitfalls and everything, but we'll just kind of go through some of the pros and cons and pros to start with. But all right, so the first pro that I have for you is the quality of what you're going to build. If you're going to build yourself a computer, is only limited by a small little thing called money, your budget, right?
Go figure.
If you want to buy the most expensive Xbox or the most expensive PlayStation, you're still just going to get a PS5 and an Xbox Series X, right? If you want to have the best gaming PC, there is no amount of money that can limit you. Like you can buy, I've heard of $20,000 machines that streamers have. So like, if you want to go big, then you can do it, and it's only limited by that. And there's a small caveat to that. Some of the software, the games, are going to be limited based on whatever limitations the publishers have or the developers have. Cool. That also means that you can spend as little as you want to on a PC and get after it too. So you get a whole wide range of money that you can spend on this thing, whereas Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, you're going to spend the same amount of money no matter what, and then it's just going to be limited by what kind of games you can get your hands on. So just talking to you about your fairly recent experience, like this thing didn't put you in the debt up to your eyeballs to build this thing, right?
No, I think I don't know, based on, and dude, I use, talk about it in a little bit, but I used a few websites that they make it really easy these days because you can literally log into a website and build a computer and it'll tell you exactly how much it was. I think I spent, I don't know, just north of $2,000 on mine.
Yeah, I think that's about
And,
right.
and I, like, yeah, it's expensive, but Uh, I love it a lot.
All right.
But also, but also like, yeah, it's expensive initially, but like we said last week, during console wars, very much plug and play, right? If you want to upgrade something, it's a little bit easier. You know,
Right.
you don't have to wait for the next console to come out.
Yeah, that's kind of the main one that got me into it. So future proofing is another pro. So you build this thing and it's not just a one time and you're done thing. So I've in my build right here, I think I'm on now my fifth graphics card that I've had in that thing. Um, Upgraded over the years. So now that's a 3080 and that's really like as a gamer, that's kind of the main meat and potatoes that you're going to care about and want to upgrade over time. So
Right.
you have a future-proofed machine that you can just upgrade rather than wait for the next console and spend another $500. And the beauty of the day and age that we live in right now is the graphics cards, especially. I've sold those things for 60, 70%, sometimes even 100% of what I paid for them originally because prices have skyrocketed. So when I replaced this, there was a 2080 Super in there before this, and when I sold that, I sold it for almost the same price that I bought it for on eBay, and it was used. So you can get a lot of your money back and kind of recycle a lot of the parts.
Yeah.
Cool. Another pro is mouse and keyboard. It gives you so much more. We talked about this last week. Precision and like customized ability to map all your buttons and everything than a controller does.
Yeah,
But
and also, if you don't want to play mouse and keyboard, you don't have to. Just like Taze talked about last week, right?
right,
You just hook your controller up and you still have a 240 hertz monitor or whatever it happens to be. Um, your graphics card is better than what's in a PS5 or a Xbox. Uh, I don't know, Series X. Is that the new one? I don't know. It's been a while.
it's a great naming
Um,
convention they came up with.
yeah. Um, but mouse and keyboard is great. It's a little bit of a learning curve for someone who's not familiar with it, just like I talked about last week, right?
Right.
It took me a long time to get into it, but if you're not into mouse and keyboard, then you just log onto your computer and then you hook your controller up via Bluetooth or a wired connection, whatever, and you can play through your controller. And it's that simple.
Yeah, the customizability of play how you want is like limitless on a PC compared to Xbox or PlayStation or Switch, right? Like not only can you play on a mouse and keyboard, but you can play with what kind of mouse you want and like there's all kinds of crazy stuff out there. Like my mouse, you can change the faceplates on it. I think you have the same one, don't you?
I
And
do,
like
yeah.
I can have crazy amount of buttons on the side or I can change it to like a just a 2 button thing. So there's no limit to the amount that you can customize your setup to be exactly what you want for gaming. And I keep my Xbox controller right here for when I want to play a game that's a controller game. Boom, there it is. So anything
And
you
I'll
can
be
do.
honest, sorry, I'll be honest, when you switch to mouse and keyboard, it's a shock because you have so many options, right? Instead of the whatever it is,
12 buttons that you
yeah,
can push.
12 buttons on the controller. That it's literally limitless. It's based on how big your hand is, basically.
Yeah.
Right? What keys can you reach? But like, dude, once you get used to a game and you know where the keys live, right? And if you've been playing on keyboard for a little while, it's way easier, in my opinion, to find those keys just based on memory
Right.
of where they live.
If you're like Swift and you have I can dunk a basketball orangutan hands, you can touch the A key and the K key with the same hand. If you're like
Oh
me
yeah,
and you got baby hands, then you can only touch WASD. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. A key
mileage
and enter key.
mileage may vary, but
Yeah.
cool. And then lastly, dude, streaming. So if you are looking to be a streamer or get into streaming or just check it out, this is the way to go. So you can stream. Not only can you stream from your PC, but you can pass your Xbox or PlayStation or Switch through your PC so that you can stream it and customize your layouts and do all the stuff that you see on this screen. Get a camera going, all that kind of stuff. You can stream from those other platforms, but it's definitely not the kind of production that you're going to want to make if you're looking to take it seriously. So
Yeah, and not as seamless, right? But
right.
like there are multiple things. Hayes told me to get a capture card, and I haven't used it yet. But I mean, it's $150, $200, where I can literally plug my Switch in if I'm streaming, and it will stream to my computer. So there's many different things that you can do with the computer based or versus your console.
Right. And not only for like streaming purposes, but like for your content creation type purposes, with all of that stuff, like your game captures being on your computer, it's so much easier for you to share it on Twitter and Instagram when it's on your computer and you can quickly get it to your phone and all that. Then I've just, it's been difficult doing any of that on Xbox, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
Cool. Not to be that's not to say that there's not downsides to playing on a computer. So we'll get into some of the cons here before we make you think that there's only sunshine and rainbows over here in the PC master race. But all right, so crossplay can be an issue sometimes with PC. PlayStation and Xbox tend to work pretty well with each other, at least in the last few years. But PC can sometimes be an issue, and especially when it comes to in-game communications. So because not all games have really good in-game comms, sometimes you'll run into an issue. Like I am having an issue in Destiny currently where I've tried everything that I can find on the internet, but I can not hear anyone in Destiny game chat, but they can hear me talking. So I have no idea what to do to fix that, and our workaround is to get people who are playing on Xbox and PlayStation to get on Discord on their phones and talk while we're playing that game. So that's definitely an issue.
That's actually really weird because I have no issue hearing them
Right,
on
and
Destiny chat.
you have the same setup as I do.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know, man. Cool. Any other crossplay issues that you've had before that you can remember?
I know initially there was a lot of crossplay issues with COD, right, when they opened it up. But I think since then they've solved it. So again, I haven't played it in a while, but I think it's been fairly seamless now.
Yeah, it seems like
COD.
developers are kind of figuring it out, and there's much less issues than there used to be. I remember when we were first starting, dude, trying to play Warzone with those guys on PlayStation, like they would drop every 2 matches, and then we would disconnect, and I can't join you, but you can join me. All kinds of goodness. So you will run into some stuff like that to be prepared for when you first start. All right, this one took me a while to get used to, but couch gaming has its special place, right? Like it's nice to be able to sit down in a big comfy couch with a beer or whatever, some snacks, and then just play casually on your couch. And so when you when you switch over to PC, you're going to be, every time you go to game, it's like I'm going into this room to sit in this chair and stare at this bright screen for hours. So a little bit different. But if you're used to that, then whatever.
Yeah, Shannon always calls my office. I call it my office, right? This is where I do my work.
Where I do work.
But it's obviously the gaming room.
This is where I do the stroke. You know what I mean?
Well, all right. But it is nice to relax on the couch. Again, I haven't played on controller than Elden Ring in a little while, so it would be cool to just sit on the couch and play controller. But if you're gonna play PC, seriously, we built my PC right when we got back from the deployment, and then I played on a chair that was, I'm pretty sure I found it in the trash in college. And I was just like, yep, I need a computer chair. And I played on that chair for probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before I ordered this one, the Secret Labs chair.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that if you don't have a good chair, like the chair makes you a gamer, right? Not only from looks, but just from the fact that if you don't have a good chair, your back will kill you all day long. And so now Shannon has that chair and she works from home and she sits in it all day. And I think her back is fine, at least from my perspective. But I should probably get her a new one.
Yeah, it's I ended up buying my wife a Secret Labs chair just because I couldn't look over at her while I'm in this uber comfy chair and see her squeaking in that crappy computer desk chair.
And to be honest, like we're not promoting Secret Labs for what, like we're not sponsored by them by any means, right? We just both happen to have Secret Labs chairs, but there are tons of chairs out there to help you with your posture and back support and all this stuff. They're all very expensive though. You're not going to get off cheap if you're going to sit in a chair all day, right? They are expensive.
Yeah, these things come at a premium. You can try to find a bargain one, but it's not gonna. It's gonna look. They're gonna make it look like it's nice, but it's gonna hurt. So,
yeah,
I agree. If you're gonna commit to this, the chair is like second to like the graphics card, and then the monitor, and then the chair.
It's so important.
Yeah. Cool. All right, and let's see. All right, so. I think I have more issues with this than you do, but you've definitely had your fair share of stuff. But the more parts you have, the more problems you have. So Xbox and PlayStation, Switch, they just work. Like you turn them on and they work. At least in modern days. Like I know Red Ring of Death back in the 360 time and all that. And Switch has its own issue with Joy-Con drift and all that. But it's basically, you get what you get out of the box. It works fine. You turn it on and the game starts and all that. Computers can be a little bit more of an adventure, depending on how crazy you want to get with stuff. And so, because if you're building through separate manufacturers, all these pieces are going to be from different companies, and who knows what kind of build quality you're going to get from each one. So, you're definitely going to run into a little bit of choose your own adventure when it comes to issues you might have with each of those pieces. Did you have any issues? I don't remember you having any hardware issues when we put yours together.
No, I literally have had no issues with mine.
Yeah.
I didn't get super Gucci like you. I bought a pre-constructed water cooling system.
Yeah.
So So I've had zero issues. I need to clean my fans because I've been lazy about that, which is obviously super important as far as, you know, temperature inside the computer. But um, I did, I don't really, I have nothing to complain about as far as what you and I built.
Nice. Yeah, cool. So for the most part, guys, like everything's made pretty well. And I've been doing this for 10 years now or so building. And I've had one part that was like not working when it should have worked. Joe Eats, welcome to the chat, man. Good to have you here. Just talking about PC gaming that you need to convert to the dark side of. But dude, yeah. So overall, I wouldn't be super scared of this. Just know that with more parts and different pieces, like you could run into some issues, and it's just a little bit more upkeep and maintenance than a console, but definitely worth it. Cool. Another con is if you want this to be, if you're not careful, this can get very expensive very fast, especially in the world where they market to gamers. So companies nowadays are looking for just ways to take advantage of gamers. Thanks for the follow, dude. That's awesome. So everything you see sold in PC gaming stuff has RGB lighting on it and all kinds of gamer modes and ultra boost mode, and they're going to market all of that crap to you. And if you're not careful and watch out for that type of marketing, you're going to spend more than you need to on this type of stuff to get the performance that you want.
Dude, but RGB lighting gives you better performance.
Yeah, it makes
at
you
all times
better.
Yeah.
And it depends on what colors your lights are running, right? So like if you your lights are changing colors.
Yeah.
So like when it's green, your mana will be higher in some games, and when it's blue,
Oh, you're right, dude. So maybe I should stop that and just pick one.
Just pick one, like health or strength.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so be careful. I will tell you, I have spent too much money on computer accessories and parts. So if you really get into things, you'll start wondering about water cooling, which we can do a whole nother episode about. But I built a custom water cooling loop, and that's like essentially doubles the price of your system, which how much money you poured into it. So just watch out, buyer beware. It's like you know, you ever had a friend who was like, "Hey, I bought an AR-15 and I'm gonna start customizing it," and you're like, "Oh." 3 months later, he spent like $6,000 on red dot sights and
red dot. Yeah, you got to get all the things.
Yeah. So
just for the range, right?
The PC is kind of the same thing, dude. Your initial purchase is not your only purchase. Cool. And then lastly, my least favorite thing about computers is updating everything. So like you're always updating drivers and software and all kinds of shit. It seems like every time you log in, something needs to update, and you spend a lot of time waiting for that to happen. So
yeah. I mean, the nice thing is if you have your PC on, which I typically don't, which I think it's the same for Xbox and PS5 or
that's true
PS, whatever. I feel like if regardless if they're on or maybe they turn themselves on, I don't know how it works. But typically these things these days will just like turn themselves on despite you saying not to and update themselves.
Yeah, or turn themselves off because they need to restart and they're not going to warn you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so there's our pros and cons, guys. Overall, I say the pros definitely outweigh the cons, but just so you know, there are some issues with PC gaming that you should be ready for if you're going to dive into this. All right, so you've made a decision. You got your tax write-off coming back, or your tax refund coming back, and you got a chunk of change burning a hole in your pocket, and you're ready to get into the PC world. So how you going to do that? So you mentioned it a little bit, Swift, when we were getting into these ideas for you, but there's a website that is invaluable that anyone who is looking to build a PC should look at before they do anything. Right? And I'll show you what it's called. Do you remember what it's called?
I think it's logical instruments increments.
Increments. There it is. All right, I got it up.
Increments.
I got it
Yeah.
up on the site or up on the browser here, but it's very simple. Okay, you go, what type of quality of computer do I want to build? Anywhere from destitute, when you are completely and utterly devoid of surplus money, but you still need a PC. This still has decent parts, but you will have room to expand later. Cool. All the way down to monstrous. This is what happens when you when one lets go of sanity. The dollars spent on the CPU or GPUs can buy a superb PC all by itself, supremely powerful, but off the deep end of the price and performance curve.
Wait a second. Did I see destitute 267 or $267?
297. So if you look over here on the right side, guys, it'll tell you about how much you're going to spend on the whole thing itself. Okay, so
and then monstrous is $5,200.
$5,200.
It's quite a gap there.
Yeah, sure is. All right, so now you can see what the range is, and you can kind of find where you want to live based on your budget, right? The one thing I will tell you on this website that isn't covered in that is your display. So whatever monitor you want, which can range anywhere from $100 to $2,000, depending on how good of a monitor you want to grab. Cool. So let's say you're in the market and you want to build a, I don't know, middle of the road, great gaming PC. So we're talking much better performance than Xbox or PlayStation. All right, so let's just put ourselves in the great category. Parts tend to get a bit pricey, but the quality and the performance are both great. Great for 1080p gaming performance in all but the most demanding of titles. Cool, so those little descriptions kind of give you an idea of like what types of games you can play. Cool, now you just need to look at what parts you need, and it gives you some kind of suggestions on what those parts could look like. If you start at the top, it'll give you like the baseline for that category. And then as you go down, it kind of gives you their recommendation for like the next little bump up in that type of equipment. Cool. So this is the website I would start at if you are going to jump into this.
Yeah. So literally, if you want to build a great PC, right? Not for streaming, not for anything other than gaming. What did it say? $1,000?
$1,000.
$1,000, right? And then, so this is what we preach to all our friends that are console warriors. $1,000 to build the tower and all the things, and then, years down the road, months down the road, wherever you decide, whatever you have the money for, you can upgrade all of these individual things to make it superb or excellent or I don't know.
Monstrous.
Monstrous. Yeah, whatever the last one was.
Yeah.
So it's not that expensive. Yeah, I mean it is expensive, let's be honest.
Right.
I work a lot and that is expensive to me. But at the same time, to be able to build something to get started playing PC games, it's not that expensive compared to consoles. Plus, you can then customize down the road when you decide, yeah, I think I like this better.
Right.
And you don't have to build a brand new PC, right? You just plug and play as far as the parts go.
Right. And not to forget the fact that this thing doesn't just play games like an Xbox or PlayStation. It is a computer, right? So my computer this is my main computer in my house, and I do all kinds of stuff on it, 3D animation and video editing and all kinds of stuff. So it's a tool that also is a monstrous gaming machine if you want it to be.
Yeah.
Cool. And then another website you can use. So all the parts on this website, if they're in the same category, they're all compatible with each other. But this is another thing you have to realize about PC building is that not all parts are compatible with each other. And it can be a little confusing if you don't know what you're doing. So you can just go to a website called PC Part Picker. and just go through that increments website, and you can go through here and search for those those products and build your build, right? And it'll tell you if all those parts are compatible with each other or not. And then you can kind of get some other ideas on what other people are building with those same parts. And this is a really cool website and valuable information on how stuff fits together and what products are available even on Amazon or Newegg and all that. So this is the second website that I would keep in your hip pocket once you start kind of deciding which parts you want to roll with.
Also, PC Part Picker has some really cool things. I know Tay's had it up on the stream, but featured builds, so you can look through where people have built really cool computers with lighting or whatever, cable management, whatever it happens to be. So you can kind of see what other people are doing, which I thought was really cool when I was building my first PC.
Yeah, there's some really cool builds on here, and some people get really in depth with, like, they'll even build like a build or write up a build guide and kind of how they went through the process. But yeah, this website is great.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so those are the tools that I would use to kind of figure out where you need to go. And then logical increments kind of breaks it down into the parts that you need, but we'll just quickly breeze over the parts that you need. So a case, as you can see in Swift's video feed there, you've got a Corsair case, right? It's all glass on the sides. And that's kind of like a mid-level, like nice aesthetic looking case, but you can get anything for, like, worth $60 that is just a gray box.
Yeah, super, like, really not expensive.
Yeah, so it just kind of depends on what you're looking for in that realm for that. So you'll need a case to put everything in. You'll need a power supply that's basically just going to route all the electricity to the different parts. Nothing crazy there, but you just need to make sure that you have enough power to supply the pieces that you're throwing into the computer, and PC Part Picker will tell you and recommend how much wattage your power supply should have based on the parts that you're throwing in there. Cool. You'll need a hard drive, so you can either go with a hard disk drive or a solid state drive, and that's just to store files and memory on games, all that kind of stuff. All that's pretty simple and straightforward. I highly recommend SSDs over the hard disk drives, but I also have hard disk drives to do like long-term, large amount of storage type stuff. What do you got? We threw a SSD in there and a...
Yeah, I have a terabyte SSD and a 500 gig just HD.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so, and honestly, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hard drives, or sorry, 2 hard drives and 2 SSDs in mine. So you can get as much storage or as little storage as you want. I recommend, if you're going to be installing like AAA games, to get at least a terabyte, one way or the other, SSD. SSD being the recommendation that I would go with, just because it's faster and a little bit quicker. But hard disk drives are a little bit more reliable. If something crashes, it won't completely wipe the memory, but knock on wood, that doesn't happen to people. All right, the other thing you're going to need is RAM. So that can come in all shapes and sizes, but basically it's going to kind of dictate. Yeah, so Swift's kind of pointing to it, but it's basically these long, thin blades of quick access memory that your computer uses to do all of its quick process type stuff. The more RAM you have, the faster. Like, this is the easiest way to make your computer feel like it's running, like doing simple tasks faster. So I recommend at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4 at least. All that will sort of start to make sense to you as you get into it, but and then 32 gigabytes being like the ideal area to live in. What did we get in yours? 32?
Yeah, it's 32.
Cool. And you can see there, you can get all kinds of stuff with lights on it in the gaming world. So I think Swift's RAM has lights on it.
Sure does.
So cool.
She lit up.
Sweet. All right. All of this stuff has to plug into something and let it all talk to each other. So that's called the motherboard. It's basically just like a foundation that you put down in there first inside the case, and it allows you to hook everything up to one thing so they all can talk to each other. And yeah, those run anywhere from $60 to $400, but really, this is one of those things that you don't really need to spend a whole lot on. The things that I would look for when you're buying a motherboard is how many USB ports it gives you, and like kind of the other interface stuff that you can plug in and out of the computer there. So
Yeah, I would say buy a motherboard if you're trying to like do the thing and plug, stream, whatever it happens to be. If you're not trying to stream, buy a standard motherboard. If you're trying to stream, because I know I have very quickly run out of USB ports. So maybe buy one with more if it's available and not super expensive.
Yeah, and nowadays, like you can find even average price ones that give you at least 8 to 12 USB ports, USB 3 and some 2s.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you're going to need a CPU. So this is the little microchip that does all your calculating. All the zeros and ones have to basically be added or subtracted by something, and that's the CPU. It does all your central processing. And this tends to be kind of where you can really get a lot of performance out of your computer or middle of the road. So CPUs tend to be not as expensive as graphics cards because they're a lot smaller. But if you want to go crazy with it, you can get Intel i9 12900K, which is a really, really good CPU for $600, or you can drop down to the i5 type stuff for $180. So a wide range of stuff to go there. What did we go Intel for you or AMD?
We went AMD.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, you'll have Intel or AMD to choose from in that aspect. But I've had one AMD Threadripper for my old video editing machine. It worked really well, but other than that, I've only had Intel microchips. But at the end of the day, not a whole lot going on there. I will say that the type of chip that you get, so CPU determines the type of motherboard that you can get. That's kind of what dictates that. Cool. And then lastly, where your big chunk of change is going to go, most likely if you care about graphics, is your GPU, so your graphics card. You can choose from AMD or you can choose an NVIDIA card. There's word on the street that Intel may be coming out with their version of a graphics card somewhat soon. We'll see how that goes. I've always had NVIDIA cards, and Swift has an NVIDIA in his. But honestly, they're relatively similar competitors. They have similar price points for depending on the type of card that you want. So
yeah, until now, when everybody buys up all the chips or the GPUs and sells them for a profit.
Yeah, so the problem you're going to run into nowadays is these are very hard to come by if you want the most modern type stuff. So RTX 3080 Ti's are bought up instantly by scalpers and resold on reselling websites for $600 to $700 markup. And that's just the world we live in. They are starting to become a little bit more available, I've noticed, at least on Twitter and things like that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's everything you're going to need to build a computer. So what you're going to do is you're going to order all those things off of Amazon or Newegg or whatever, and they're all going to show up on your doorstep, and then you're going to stare at all of them and go, what in the hell do I do? Right?
Yeah.
So the first thing you should do is call someone who's done it before, just for like safety purposes. You're putting a lot of money into this, so you don't want to screw anything up, but
yeah, a little backup.
I will tell you that it's much easier than you're thinking if you haven't done it before. It's basically if you've made Legos before, you can build a PC, right? Yeah. So last thing I'll say is there's really only one pitfall that you can run into when you're installing it that could really hard break anything, and it's the putting the CPU microchip into your motherboard. You can close it in a way that can bend the pins on the bottom of the microchip. So just what I'll post some YouTube videos on our Twitter OMG_podcast GG, and it'll kind of just show you how to do that correctly without screwing it up. Very easy. Built one of these with my dad and had him do this part, and he nailed it. And he's a boomer, so cool. Anything you can bring up from remember from our building experience?
No, the one thing I'll say, and I don't know that it really matters, is Taze actually had like a static free, uh, basically build station in his garage, which I don't know enough about it to say that it helped or it didn't, but it was super convenient. He had little buckets that were magnetically attached to things where we put like the um hardware for each of the parts, right, that we're screwing into the computer. So that's super important. Obviously, you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to have buckets for it, but you don't want to lose the hardware for what you're trying to screw in your computer, to make it work. So super important to be very cautious about where you're putting what, so you don't get things mixed up. But other than that, like we've talked about it, he walked me through it, and it literally it's kind of like Legos, right? These days, everything has a place on the motherboard or in the tower, so it's not, if you're looking to do this, it's really not as difficult as it seems. And I feel like there's probably a million YouTube videos out there to help you out if you're trying to build a PC, which you
Yeah.
should, because it's awesome.
Yeah. Some of the great websites are Jay's 2 Cents and Linus Tech Tips. They have full start to finish PC building videos that you can watch, and they walk through all the pitfalls and how to hook up wires and hide them so the airflow is good, and just some basic stuff in there. So YouTube is your friend, as in anything these days.
Yeah.
Cool. You put it all together. Now you are ready to game. Well, unfortunately, it's not quite as easy as an Xbox, so you can't just turn it on and go. You got to get Windows on there, which can be a little bit of a pain sometimes, especially if you don't put a disk drive in there like Swift's computer.
Yeah, I
Nowadays,
know we struggle with that.
right. Most of the time, you're not going to put a CD-ROM drive or DVD drive in there because that stuff is just kind of out of date. So what
Yeah,
you'll have to
there's
do
no
is
reason to.
you'll go to the Windows website, and they can walk you through how to put it onto a USB drive, install Windows, and then you'll be off to the races. Cool. Anything else to bring up about the actual build or getting the parts or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think the only other thing I would say is when we built mine, I think we had, as soon as it like started up, we were like, okay, let's hold our breath. And then we hooked it up to one of your monitors, and it said it had like a cooling fail or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but don't necessarily be afraid of that, because based on the parts you're hooking up, like I still get that error. My computer has been fine for 2 years now. So like based on what parts you're putting in, the computer itself, i.e., I guess the motherboard, won't necessarily recognize certain things. So as long as you know things are like hooked up right, you have the cooling and all the things, like it'll be fine. Just skip that and be good. Otherwise, if I'm totally talking out of my ass here, Taze, correct me if I'm wrong, reach out to a professional and get that fixed real quick.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So it's a computer, right? So stupid in is stupid out is what they say about computers. It only knows what it's programmed to know. So
Yeah.
In Swift's case, it thinks it's looking for a fan right on top of the CPU, and it can't tell how fast that fan is spinning because we didn't hook one up because we hooked up an all-in-one water cooler to your system. So
Yeah.
it thinks that it's going to overheat because it doesn't know how fast the fan is spinning on your processor, but that's all good. So if
Yeah.
you kind of understand what each of these parts does, which logical increments is really good at explaining what they each do, then you'll kind of be able to tell if your computer is just blowing smoke or if it's actually blowing smoke because it's on fire.
Yeah. If it's on fire, then turn it off and find someone.
Yeah. Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
Cool. Sometimes I'm playing Elden Ring and I hear that water pump start kicking in. I'm like, this thing's about to light on fire. Cool. All right, man. That's basically the nitty gritty of how to build it, what pieces you need. If you ever have any questions, dude, just reach out to us at omgpodcastgg@gmail.com. We will answer you straight away, get you the info you need, or even just like get in a call with you on Discord and talk you through whatever you need to build this thing. But it's fairly straightforward. Doesn't really require much more than some YouTube videos and an adventurous spirit.
That's right.
All right, so where do you get the games from, dude? Where do you get your games? How do people play games on a computer?
Dude, we obviously have the Blizzard launcher, right?
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say obviously for people who haven't played computer for a while or ever, but there's a Blizzard launcher for anything like Heroes of the Storm, right?
Yep.
Well, bump that. Get that game fixed. Blizzard
Update.
launcher, Steam, Epic Store for Fortnite, which again you heard Chase and I talking about. Origin. There's a lot, honestly. I typically stick to Steam, Blizzard for the games that I play, and then now that I have Fortnite, I go to Epic to
Yeah.
launch Fortnite.
Yeah. I mean, what you have to know about PC gaming is you're going to have to use a lot of different softwares to get a hold of these different games, depending on who makes them or who licenses them. Steam is your best bet for biggest library of games, like cheapest sales, all kinds of stuff. It kind of probably my favorite software that kind of organizes it all overall.
Hence why you ordered the Steam Deck.
Exactly. They got me by the haunches.
Yeah.
But Blizzard has its own launcher, and that thing is world famous for just kind of storing all their games. And it's a big deal whenever a new game kind of that isn't owned by Blizzard gets added to that launcher. So the Epic Store, like Swift mentioned, and then Origin. There's even third-party launchers. Like even after you download Fortnite's gonna run its own little thing, and then League of Legends is a perfect example. Has its own separate launcher that you have to get once you get it from Riot Games launcher. So that part is kind of annoying because there's a bunch of different things to keep updated. That's what I kind of told you about. But if you kind of always leave them all running and sucking up all your band or all your RAM, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about Riot, but also if anybody has seen Twitch, um, you recognize that Valorant is obviously still a big thing.
Right.
That's also a Riot Games. So
yeah, Apex Legend is on Epic.
Yeah.
So, or maybe that's Origin. Yeah, it's on Origin.
It's on Origin.
But anyways, yeah, so just be ready to get all those downloaded. If you are confused as to where to find a game, you got Google. Or join our Discord, Bonsai Gaming, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. We'll get you right into the right channels on Discord, and you'll be on your way to streaming legend.
We love it. People helping people,
Yeah. Like and subscribe, please.
We're here for you.
All right, guys, let's get into the last little bit about PC gaming, and it's all the accessories. So, Swift, how many accessories do you have access to in front of you right now? You got a microphone, a webcam, a keyboard, mouse.
Oh, dude, I don't even know where to start. So no kidding. I have a keyboard, a mouse. Very important for PC gaming, right? You got to start there.
It's gonna be hard to. So what do you got? You got Razer peripherals?
I do have Razer keyboard, mouse.
All right.
I also have. So I bought the Razer. I don't know what it's called, dude. The big keyboard with the wrist rest.
Oh yeah. The Huntsman.
Right. Huntsman. Yeah. Thing is dope. I spilt water all over it, so most of it doesn't work anymore. So I still have this in the catalog. Still in the container, but I got the Huntsman Mini. Okay. So
it looks like you're trying to give that away as a giveaway.
Maybe in 16 podcasts. So I have 2 keyboards, a mouse. I have an Elgato camera. I have an Elgato light. I have an Elgato Steam Deck. I have my PC. Like it like never ends because you just have to buy all the things depending on what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's all about synergy.
It's all about synergy. And the most important part is having the RGB in the background, right?
Oh, of course.
Like you can't substitute that for skill.
All right, there you have it. Cool. We talked a little bit about water cooling as well and gamer chairs. So like we said, not sponsored by Secret Lab, but that would be awesome if they wanted to. But if you've ever thought about buying a gamer chair, highly recommend, especially if you're tall and big. These chairs from Secret Lab, the Titan. Look at him. He's sleeping. Like, it is probably the nicest thing I've ever. It's so nice that I bought my wife one.
I literally, with this little pillow, I have fallen asleep in this chair more times than I care to announce.
Yeah.
I just lean back when I'm over gaming and I'm watching like TV and I'm out there. It's so nice.
I've heard a small story that you were
the lumbar support. Are you kidding me?
I heard a story you were saran wrapped to that one time.
Yeah, easy saran wrap me to it.
Nice.
That's true.
Cool. I tried to get that picture and just pop it into the podcast, but Connor couldn't find it.
Let's not.
All right. Cool. And then lastly, I'll bring up, dude, multiple monitors is so cool. Like, when it comes to PC gaming, you can be playing the game on your main monitor and then watching your favorite streamer on the side monitor, or have a website up that's helping you figure out what the F you're doing in Elden Ring, or watching a YouTube video, or playing 2 games at the same time because you like to party. Like, I highly recommend double monitor if you're going to do this thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to upgrade to triple monitor at this point. Again, I don't know if I have the hookups for it, but I will also vouch for that. Double monitor is the best thing ever because you and I can be gaming on HOTS or Destiny, just like last weekend. We can be gaming and I have the Masters up.
Right.
And it's glorious on the other screen, right? So, yeah. I mean, there's no... It's so nice to have dual monitors.
Yeah, that was the hardest part about being deployed, was playing on one monitor.
Yeah, right?
First world problems, but...
for sure.
Cool, dude. Anything else to bring up, accessories-wise, that you're all about?
Looking around, I don't think so.
Sweet. All right, so PC gaming, there you have it, folks. One More Game brought you our analysis of how to become the greatest PC gamer and a part of the greatest community in gaming that there is. So let's get into what we played this week. All right. I'll lead off here. I finally did it. I am 1560 in Destiny and proud of it.
I would be too.
Yeah, I ran my first Grandmaster Nightfall. I don't know if you've done one of those before, but
No.
they are so hard.
What level do you have to be to do those?
I don't think there's a requirement, but it's like if you're not maxed out, it's going to be very hard.
Okay. Did you win?
We did. We died 4 times. So on a Grandmaster Nightfall, when your team dies, all 3 of you die, it ends it and it brings you back to orbit. So it's like you don't even get to start from a checkpoint or anything. It's like, nope, you're dead. Start over.
Yikes.
So we did that. We died 4 times, and then I had to replace one of the guys because he wasn't up to snuff. And then we were able to do it.
Dude, it's like WoW all over again. Where you're just like, nah, dude, you're not it.
To be fair, he was like, guys, I think I'm holding us back. I just don't have the gear that I need or whatever. But
okay.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
We barely beat it too. Like the time that we did it, like one guy was alive and the boss had like a sliver of health left, and we're both dead, and we're like, revive us. He's like, no, you got to just kill him. And we're like, oh god. and he
did it.
Yeah.
Nice. Love that.
Good times. I love that game. It just has its hooks in me, and I don't know what else to say about it. If you haven't played it, download it now. But I told everyone to mark their calendars for our next guild raid that we're going to run, that everyone's going to back out of. So be available to back out, please.
Yeah. What day are we doing that? What day are we backing out?
Whatever day you're busy.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Let's see what else. Oh, Tunic. I finally beat that dude that we were talking about. I even clipped it, and I'm going to post it up on Twitter later today. But
nice.
Yeah. So I'm on to my first, what I would define as like Zelda style dungeon in that game. But I just walked in the front door and then turned it off. But it is still loving that game, and that sense of triumph I had when I finally beat that guy. It was just like, thanks, Elden Ring.
You've bred me for this.
Yeah. Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge until I win. Speaking of Elden Ring, I did get into more of it a little bit. I've been leveling up just by not really doing much, just wandering and collecting runes and then just leveling up. So I think I'm going to, next time log into that game, I'm going to give the old first boss, Margit, I think he's called. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, so, I don't know any of the boss's names. So
stand by for that. He's the first one that like beats your ass when you first log into the game to like tell you that you're playing a Souls-like. Remember?
Like literally the one you can't beat, or the one on the horse outside?
The one you can't beat. The one that like kills you initially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to show him something.
Yeah. Okay. And then we played some more Heroes of the Storm, just all random, all mid, all the time.
Oh, and yeah.
Love it.
All the time.
Every time I see someone on that game, I'm like, I'm hopping in. But,
yeah.
And then lastly, dude, not really a Halo, the show. I got caught up, and Cortana finally got introduced. So the first 2 episodes, I was kind of like, meh. But now I'm like, this is good. This is a good show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't like the first 2 episodes?
I mean, I had a lot of like preconceived notions going on, I guess. And this third episode was the first one that I was able to let myself like just enjoy it for the science fiction show that it is. And they kind of took their own liberties with it and kind of didn't really care about some of the story. but no spoilers. But yeah, it's good. If you like Battlestar Galactica, you're gonna like this show.
Yeah, dude, I've watched the third episode. I'm pretty sure the fourth episode is out today. I haven't watched it yet.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go. Um, but dude, I'm really enjoying it. It's we talked about it initially when we were talking about TV shows and movies, but I think it's so different from what you expect from the Halo universe that I'm enjoying it for sure.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with Master Chief. Because, like I
Yeah.
said, if they were going to just try to keep feeding me the same guy from the games, it wasn't going to work.
Oh no, why would it?
No,
That's not entertaining on TV.
no. All right. What did you play, dude?
Dude, so it's been again busy week. I don't know. I kind of found myself in a weird spot where we're flying nights, right? So I would come home. Like last night, I didn't get home until 12:30 a.m. And so Shannon's already in bed, and I come up here, and I want to play a game, but I don't really, right? I don't want to invest time in it because
Yeah.
it's late. I want to go to bed, but I still have to decompress. So honestly, I watched a lot of shows this week because I flew a few times, right? So when I got home, I was like, well, I'm not going to watch Twitch. I don't care about Twitch right now. I'm kind of in a lull as far as video games, and not necessarily in a lull, but I just didn't have motivation to play any of them.
Yeah,
So
I get that way when I'm working at night.
yeah, so I would just like watch shows. So I watched a lot of shows. I've been watching. Dude, have you seen Winning Time
No, you told me about it. I should
on
watch it.
HBO?
No.
It is phenomenal. It's
That's
about
the
the
Lakers,
Laker
right? Yeah.
franchise. Yeah. So I watched a lot of Winning Time. Have you seen The Flight Attendant on HBO?
No.
Great, dude. It's like you said, it's got its hooks in me. I think I'm like 5 or 6 episodes in. Great show. It has the hot chick from Big Bang Theory in it.
Oh, Penny. I don't know her actress name.
Yeah.
Kelly Kuko.
Kaylee yeah, I don't know. It has her in it. So, and Shannon got me watching Friday Night Lights, the TV show, which I've never seen. I've seen the movie. So I've been watching a lot of shows when I basically haven't been invested in gaming. So I really didn't play a ton of games this week. The 2 games that I did play, I played Destiny with you. Maybe not with you. You were kind of logging off as I was logging in, and I played some Crucible for Pinnacle gear. But played Destiny not for very long. So wasn't that great. I didn't get into any of the story stuff. I just played PvP. And then the only other game that typically, so for anybody, listeners, typically when we're on nights, Easy and I will log in. And Taze was thankfully available this week, but logged in and played some Heroes of the Storm in the AM, because it's Arizona and the sun's up at 5:45 a.m. after me going to bed at 2 a.m. So I can't really sleep past 7. So I decided to get online and played a little bit of HOTS. It's been fun. Again, the game itself is great. They need to make. I just hope they find a reinvigorated passion for it because it's so fun.
Yeah, it's got the fan base to bring it back into the limelight, but I don't know, that ship might have sailed.
I could not believe it. So for anybody that most of you that are not playing with us, Taze is like a level we'll call it 1100. Very close to 1100. And I logged in with Easy the other day, and there was a dude that was like 2600 level. And so in my mind, knowing how much Taze loves this game and how much he's played it, I think that dude who was 2600 has had to have played for 18 hours a day, every day, since the game came out.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense in my mind.
He's in there all the time.
Yeah.
Every day.
So brutal. But I'm starting to get the, my fingers back as far as moves and stuff. So excited to keep playing it. But that again, I know it's kind of anticlimactic, but that's basically what I got for the week because I just haven't had the urge.
You guys are you're starting to make some high level plays, even if maybe they're on accident, but I'm noticing a little bit more higher level thought functioning going on in that game.
Dude, there's there's no accidents. We're just on it,
Yeah. Number 1 team, North America,
west of the Mississippi.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, that's about all I got for what we played this week. If you guys are interested in letting us know what you've been playing, one more time, send us an email at omgpodcastgg@gmail.com. We are looking forward to your emails. That feedback is invaluable for us to kind of shape how the show goes and talk about what you guys want to hear. So please, even if you are shy, just send us one and we will jump on that and make you feel welcome.
Yeah, hit us up, please.
You can also hit us up on OMG_podcastGG on Twitter and Instagram, and we will reach out to you back and go ahead and give us a follow if you want to get the latest up-to-date news on when we're going to stream. Like, I was able to make the announcement on Twitter right before this that we were going to go live tonight rather than Sunday, but that's kind of where you're going to find like the most up-to-date news. So go ahead and give a follow there, and you'll be able to figure out, what's the latest and greatest from us. And with that being said, I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag yet, but we may be having I'm not going to call them famous in the industry, but someone experienced in the video game development industry that some of you may have heard of as a guest speaker coming up here in the next few episodes. So be looking forward to that if you're into that kind of stuff. And we are excited to bring you that kind of content. And then you can also find our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or omgpodcast.podbean.com or anywhere else you find your podcast for latest episodes. If you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star review and then send us any type of questions you may have on those websites.
Or feedback.
What about you, dude? Where can they find you?
Again, I'm gonna try to start streaming a little bit more regularly, whether it be Elden Ring with my death counter up.
Buddy.
Find me over at twitch.tv/Swiftmida. And obviously, you know where to find the guy. Taze, tell him.
Twitch.tv/theStroke. And, it's still in the works. I keep telling you guys I'm about to make an announcement about my streaming schedule, and it's going to happen someday, but I'm dealing with some stuff. And when it's ready, it'll be ready, and I'll be looking forward to having you guys there. But thank you so much for joining us tonight on the last second notice, and we're happy to bring you the talk about the PC Master Race and how you can join us. And just remember, just because you have to grow up doesn't mean you should stop playing. Game on, gamers, and we will catch you next week on one more game. Swift, see ya!
See ya!